Welcome to the Wednesday, June 8th, 2022 Planning Board meeting for the Town of Raymond. The Planning Board will come to order. The board does have a quorum. We'll start with roll call.
Mike D'Arcangelo. Greg Foster.
Robert O'Neill.
Ed Kranich. Mark Childs.
And Jim Seymour is here as... Oh, sorry, Kevin. Now that you're... This is a public proceeding, and unless the board specifically votes to go into executive session, you have the right to hear everything that is being said and to look at all the exhibits that are presented. Please notify the chair if you're unable to see or hear. The board works from a published agenda and will be considering tonight's items in the following order. We do have some changes to the published agenda. We have the old business of the Settlers Ridge Road subdivision.
That's my mistake, it's Port Harbor.
It's Port Harbor. Oh, okay. I don't have that. Okay. New business is the first item on the new business. Dustin Roma's Westview Drive has been pulled. We do have an informal discussion on a possible subdivision in Birchwood subdivision. And I do have some admin stuff that we need to take care of following that. In each instance, the burden is upon the applicant to demonstrate compliance with the provisions of the applicable ordinance or state law. All persons speaking, including the representative of the applicant or members of the public, are asked to stand at the microphone, state their name, address, and affiliation with the application. All persons speaking shall address the chair. Any conversations must be held in advance until after the board has formally adjourned. After the board votes on the merits of each application, it will prepare a written notice of decision. Because the notice of decision may substantially affect any appeals right, and also as a matter of courtesy, the board asks that those attending the meeting with regard to a specific application not leave until the board has completed its discussion. Appeals from adverse decisions must be filed with the Superior Court or as otherwise provided by law within 45 days of the board's decision. Also, to be certain that you preserve your individual right to file any such appeal, you must be certain that the board records evidence of your appearance here this evening. Okay, so our first item is, which I actually skipped, is the approval of the minutes for May 11th. Are there any changes or revisions?
Move to accept it as written.
For a second?
Second.
Mark seconds. Any discussion, changes? All those in favor?
I didn't attend, so I shouldn't vote, right?
Correct, you are an abstention. Okay, first item done. So now we're doing the Port Harbor Marine. Is that?
That's Robbie's. Yeah.
He's right here. I know.
Where's Rob? Oh, there's Rob.
I wondered why he was up there.
So Rob, I was not. What are you presenting this evening?
What I was presenting tonight was just an update of Settlers Ridge and our status with DEP. Of course,
Sorry, Rob, but I did have it right on the agenda.
yeah, you did have it right.
Okay.
So, I asked him to put it on the agenda just so that I could update you with where we are with DEP. We got initial contact with DEP, and they were unsure of the methodology that we need to go forward to permit the project. We do have significant vernal pool. We need to permit that with them. The person that we were dealing with was only aware of the permit by rule process, and so they had to dig a little deeper and find out what the process would be for the negotiations that we need to do with them and IFW. They have come back. We're doing some additional areas for them right now, and we're doing ongoing coordination with them relative to the permitting. So, just to let you know that we're still working through that.
Do you envision this changing the layout of the project?
Right now, what we're talking about is possibly just moving over a section of road by changing no lots. Just to get a little further away from two wetlands that are adjacent to the roadway. but it does not change the boundary, or the location of the lots.
Okay,
So that's what we have today.
thank you. I didn't ask Will to come this evening. I didn't think he was necessary, so, you don't have any specific things for him, do you? Rob?
Oh, no.
Okay,
I think all the things are addressed, other than corrected addresses for the residents which Wayne had provided to me.
okay.
And we'll submit those when we submit.
Does the board have any questions for Rob?
No. You good here?
So, as best as I could hear, the lot, are the lot sizes gonna change? Is the road shifting?
The lot sizes must change if the road's gonna shift.
One lot is changing slightly, it'll be reduced in area, but the location of lots will not be changing right now. Basically, where you are in the middle of the site, there's kind of some open space there. You're gonna shift the road over further closer to the north wetland to get further away from two small wetland vernal pools on the south side. Just about the same length of roadway, so it doesn't change your stormwater. Everything goes in the same direction, so there's no major change.
Okay. Any other questions?
No.
All right, so I'm pretty sure the project is, we're still just hanging out, waiting, and you anticipate the next meeting, Rob?
I got a call into DEP to set up another meeting with them. I'm hoping that we have some resolution before the next meeting. We may not have permitted before the next meeting.
Okay. All right. Do you have anything for us, Rob? Anything else?
Nope.
All right.
That's all for this project.
All right, are you doing anything with Port Harbor Marine tonight?
No.
Okay.
We're for the sidewalk, we'll be probably 4 to 6 weeks out till we make a submittal.
Right.
We had a good sidewalk, neighbors were, I think they were well informed, and I think it's gonna go through pretty well.
Okay. All right, thanks, Rob.
Thank you, guys. Have a good evening.
Thank you, you too. Sandy, I know that you've got an email from who? From Mike, someone on the next project, Mike Moss on the management controls, LLC, Big Lake.
Correct, they want that to remain tabled and they don't know when they're gonna be coming back for it.
All right. So I guess it's tabled.
They table themselves.
They tabled themselves.
Right.
We don't think we need to do anything, do we?
No.
No, good.
Just continuation.
Right, done. So Sandy, just drop it off the agenda then, even though it's tabled. Drop it off the
Yes,
future
I
agendas
can do
until,
that.
yeah, until they kind of contact us.
Yep,
Okay. Under the new business, I'm sure you all saw the Westview Drive application's been pulled. So we are down to, well, and I have Francis Shabowski, is that?
Shabowski, yeah.
Shabowski? All right, sir.
You gentlemen have the 3 sheets that I submitted to Sandy?
Um,
It's just a letter, a site plan for Birchwood, and a blown up shot of my existing lot over there. Basically, yeah.
Yes.
So why don't you guys get a chance to read it, or I could just
You
review
guys have it, it came in 2 meetings ago, so it would be
Oh.
in your historical.
So I should say, Mr. Shabowski and I are neighbors, so I'm gonna recuse myself from any voting on this
Right.
matter.
He's my next door neighbor.
Okay? All right, so actually we have to do that formally. I move that we accept Mike's recusal from reviewing Mr. Shabowski's application.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? You don't get to vote, Mike.
You can't vote yourself off your own island.
Okay. Thank you. So we're back to you, I'm sorry.
Okay, so like I say, basically, a few months back, I spoke to Sandy in reference to putting on the agenda for this meeting about an informational request to the board to review maybe possibly subdividing my existing lot up in Birchwood.
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I got to interrupt you again. You need to go to the microphone or you don't get into the minutes and record
Oh,
it.
okay, certainly, yeah.
I'm sorry.
We don't, any of these over here?
No, you got to use the one at the podium.
One podium.
We really are. Yep, behind you, the podium. Yep.
Sorry.
So I'm sorry.
There we go. So, yeah, basically, like I say, I spoke to Sandy a few months ago in reference to generating an informational request for possibly subdividing my existing lot I have up in Birchwood. I built the house 24 years ago. This was when Jack Cooper was around. Back, I don't know if any of you were there then.
Yep.
But, so basically, like I say, I've been a resident up there for 24 years. There's 19 very large lots between 5 and 6 acres. I lived at 78 Dagger Drive on Lot 14. It's about a little over 5.8 acres. It's an elongated lot. It's approximately 300 feet wide and about 1,100 feet of road frontage. Basically, my existing house is located on one end of my lot, and what I'm proposing is possibly doing a simple subdivide and to build in the future to build another build another house that I could possibly retire on, and because I want to downsize. I've been working at Maine Medical Center for 30 years as a respiratory therapist, and I'm going to be retiring the next year. So I wanted to build a smaller home. So that's what my hopes in the future are on this lot. Like I say, it's really uniquely located, being configured so it could be easily subdivided. I showed you an existing plan of Birchwood. You can see it. I highlighted it for you. And the lot here, you can see the proposed dividing line. My house is on one end, and I was going to break up the lot into approximately 2.8 acres on the proposed with the subdivide line. I'm basically just looking for a waiver, because if you look at the original Raymond Town Board back in 1989, 33 years ago, they had a stipulation or a restriction on the plans. I talked to Alex about this, and Dawn Dyer, she's a local real estate attorney. So it was one of the restrictions says that none of these lots can be further subdivided, because that is 33 years ago. So basically, I'm just looking for a possible a waiver for the future on this particular case, or open it up for discussion, or what's the avenues I could travel to it if it's even feasible. Yeah.
Okay.
Is it
Dawn recommended that I contact you guys and go from there, one step at a time. So this is where I'm at tonight. Yeah.
All right. Jim?
Yes, sir. So, you do have a plan this evening. I believe you're in the rural residential district, is that correct?
Excuse me?
Are you in the rural residential district?
Yes, I believe it is.
It's a
I think-
2 acre minimum, so.
I think they require 2.2 acres and 225 feet of frontage, and I have, like I say, 1,100 feet. So well within the requirements of a residential rural housing for Raymond.
So, what we believe happened is, it was pretty much a common practice to say no further development on these lots.
Mm-hmm.
And
We do it sometimes ourselves.
We do it sometimes ourselves, and the question is, there's a few questions that go with it. Was that done so that any amendment would have to come back to the board? This was 1989, maybe it wasn't common law in 89 that you could subdivide outside the subdivision, but now any lot line change is an amendment to the subdivision plan, so he has to come back to the board no matter what. The question is, do you want to overrule that previous condition? I don't know the terms around that condition, but the one thing we need to look at is the net density for that subdivision originally.
Mm-hmm.
Because if the net density doesn't allow for another lot, then you can't allow another lot. So that's one of the things we need to check out is that. The other thing is if it is allowed, and they can complete another lot from net density with the division of the lot, obviously we can't make his so that's just something else we need to confirm, that the setbacks for his current home will remain conforming, and that the future lot will have an acceptable building envelope, because it does front on two roads. It fronts on Daggett, and I believe, the other one is called Oak Ledge.
I should know, I can't remember.
I think it's Oak Ledge
Where
Extension.
Sam lives?
No, it's not, yeah, the road that goes by Sam's house, it's some kind of tree avenue.
Right, right.
Is it Cedar
On the-
Avenue or some damn thing?
On this, it's called Oak Ledge Extension is what it was called
Yeah,
on the tax
but
map.
it's got a different name, and I
Yeah.
should know, I
Okay.
walk there every day.
Either way, it's one of these lovely corner lots we all love. So we just need to make sure that there's an acceptable building envelope. And within that lot, we also need to make sure there's a passing septic system test pit for that. And then, of course, if there are any stipulations to the original plan, they obviously need to go with this future plan. And we probably just want to make sure that there's no issues with drainage or stormwater management from the developed lot. So that there are some things I did put on the end of your memo, obviously all the conditions that go with the subdivision, we didn't address any of those because we're just at sketch plan. And then, of course, now because it's coming in as an amendment, this lot, even though the others in the subdivision wouldn't be, this lot would have to follow a sprinkler system. Because the amendment, so
right.
this lot, with this particular unit would have to have a sprinkler system. Is that correct, Wayne?
Yeah.
Okay. So there are a few things they're gonna need to do. Obviously, they're gonna have to have a surveyor provide that, but there's a little bit of engineering in that, or I guess say record research we need to do to make sure that the net density, that's probably the biggest item.
So I'm not voting on this, but I have a general question about not this particular.
We're not taking public comments on this.
Oh. So can I?
He's
not-
all,
Totally kidding.
He's only
he's
kidding.
a hybrid.
Yeah. That was a good one. So I looked at the ordinance, and for a preliminary subdivision, we would need to notify, or the applicant would need to notify owners within 250 feet. But an amended subdivision, it doesn't appear that that needs to be done. But I'm a little concerned about that, because what if there's a homeowner, I think we have a homeowner covenants, but I've never been able to get my hands on it. I don't know what it says. I would just hate to have Bill go through
Right.
a whole bunch of stuff and then find out that the covenants don't allow it, and without people getting notified, no one's gonna come here and question it.
Yeah, I would recommend that, everybody in the subdivision be notified, but I'll have to go through to see what it says for amendment.
For our association, I mean, this doesn't, which was done in '76, when we looked into the covenants that were in place for the association, the state told us that they had expired. And unless they were,
Recorded?
recorded and redone, then they're gone.
To null and void?
Yeah, they're all null and void. So unless, I mean, I don't know what, obviously what you guys are, but it may have, the same thing might have happened.
Part of the research.
Yeah, I just think as a normal course of doing this, I would think we'd not want to notify, just so people don't feel like this was done in the dark.
Right. Yep. All right, so plan moving forward is, I think the first thing, we probably should just kind of get an informal survey of the board as to whether or not they're willing to change the plans of a subdivision that are specifically said not to change. And then the second then spot would be that we would probably want to see acceptance of the association, that they have no objections to the,
There is a declaration of restriction of bylaws and covenances for this Birchwood subdivision.
Right.
This was actually Oak Ledge 2. Oak Ledge 1 is on 302. In the Oak Ledge extension, it goes to Oak Ledge 2, which is further called Birchwood. But there is a deed restriction back, and I think it was, the Fifth Amendment to it was 2005, but to expire on 2010. So what we have now for covenants and restrictions, they had expired 12 years ago.
yeah, okay, that's the same thing.
So,
Yeah.
so I'm wondering if, do I need to be concerned about that since they expired over a decade ago?
I think that, again, I don't want to talk for the board, but I would think that the board was, as Mike was just saying, the board is going to be interested is if if your association is in acceptance of a dividing of a lot, or is if, when we do the public hearing and you put all this money into it, are they going to come here and say, we don't want this, and then you're going to get into the legal aspects of, can you subdivide, can you not subdivide? It says on the, it says on your plot, you can't subdivide, so now it makes the decision a lot more difficult for the planning board to override something that's already been done against the objections of everybody that's in the association.
I thought the bylaws and the deed restrictions were pretty much mirrored up with the Raymond Planning Board back in '89. So if the planning board okayed it, it would be okay for the subdivision laws. Not necessarily. I mean, initially it
Well,
seemed to.
Yes, if the planning board okays it, it's okay, and you can do it, but one of the things that the planning board will consider in doing that, in giving that permission, is what the community, what the association is, what their view of subdividing a lot in their subdivision, whether or not they view that as acceptable. Do you have an annual meeting, or you pay
Yeah, we
dues and
just
all?
had one last night.
Oh, so, Mr.
I
Padek.
didn't bring it up. I wanted to address it
Sure.
at the planning board
Yeah.
initially. That's
Right.
what was suggested to me.
So you have an email list for those guys? You probably do, right?
Sure.
Yeah, so I would start, that would be the first thing I would do, is I would email out to your association, and I would tell them that you're thinking of subdividing.
Yep.
Are there any objections? And see if you get any objections to that.
Do I need the majority?
No,
No.
no. I mean, it's,
I don't
no.
Bylaws it.
Unless the
Right.
bylaws.
Unless the bylaws
Unless
are
the
current and
bylaws
say,
So it's just the majority, I guess, like we discussed for voting previously, I guess.
And Daggett's a public road, correct?
No.
It's private?
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to make it public, please do, because we're paying 10 grand a year to plow the damn thing, so that'd be great.
No, so the covenants may go with the private road too,
Right.
so, and there may be more ownership involved. There may be more subdivision owners involved, because they all have rights to that road, so we may have to look at the road association as well.
yeah, because if it's set up back then, it was the same as ours was set up, is that you own part of the road basically for a lot?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So, I'm no lawyer, but way back when someone was trying to do this, the answer that we got was, if there was one person that objected, it was done because they owned a part of that road. And I'm guessing, since this was done in that same era, you'll have the same situation.
What I would suggest is that, regardless of what the board says, that you should, no. Maybe I shouldn't say regardless, but bad word.
All right, I
Strike
like
that
it.
from the record, please.
The hell with
In
the
conjunction
board.
with what the board would say, I would consult with a land attorney, a land use attorney, to help you guide you through
Oh, I see what you're saying.
the legal process of what the covenants and the restrictions may be, and the timing of everything, just to give you guidance as to what you just said,
Right.
as to, what's the issue with the road. We have the subdivision itself, but then we have the private road issue, which may be different than the subdivision.
I would agree with you, as that may be step 3, but I was just thinking as far as money goes.
Right.
Right.
That, you might as well go through as many steps that don't cost you anything
Yeah, you can
first.
talk to the owners. I mean, guarantee you that not all of them are gonna probably like it.
There's always one, at least.
But, just for an initial consult, it may be good to just talk to an attorney.
Well,
So you think the first step would be to approach the neighborhood association and
Yep.
send out an email to everybody and see if anybody objects to it? Or then,
yes, that would be the first approach. That's what I would do
I
as
don't
a
want to get
first
into
approach.
expensive surveys and.
Exactly.
And calling real estate and putting them on a retainer.
And then you know where you are as far as the association goes. If you get someone that's objecting, then you're gonna have to do what Jim
I'm
says.
sure there's gonna be a few, but I'm just wondering if, as long as I have the majority of,
Well, again, that's
Yeah.
going to be up to the legal side,
Right.
the lawyers.
Right.
or it might be in our bylaws.
It could be in your bylaws.
For the
or your
majority, like
covenants.
we discussed, right?
Right.
6 out of the 10.
Yeah, I think the point is that if there's one person, because we own a portion of the road, then
Right.
you might be out of luck.
maybe.
See, if everybody.
But that's why you would need to go, if you get one person who objects, then maybe that's why you have to think to yourself, do I want to spend the money and find out if I'm legally stuck?
Yeah. Yeah,
As
maybe I can
Mr.
talk to,
Seymour was saying.
Dawn Dyer, maybe she's.
Yeah, exactly. Dawn is an attorney, so I would reach back to
Yeah.
Dawn and just
Mhm.
say,
With her, then
you know,
sort of-
just say, you know, have you reviewed the covenants or the bylaws that may go with this? And, you know, she can definitely guide you in the right direction.
So if I got that approved through the subdivision, if I had the majority, what would be the next step? Would I reach back out to the planning board?
Well, I think once
Would
you
you go along with a decision?
Well, once we find that, you know, your attorney or you determines that, you know, you have kind of clear rights to do this, then you need to come back with a revised plan at that point, which you'd have to hire a surveyor
Sure.
to do that piece.
Right.
Yeah,
But then
show
you would have to
septic
vote on it
and-
yourself.
Then this board would decide.
This
if-
board would.
Yes.
But before I spent any
Correct.
expenses for a survey, you would, hopefully I would have a decision
Right.
from the board.
No,
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 No.
no,
no, it goes the other way.
yeah,
Reverse that.
right. All the pieces of the puzzle have to be put in place to be presented to the board. And then the board will act on what is presented to us.
Would the board require a survey?
Yes,
Oh, yes.
yes.
You know, even though I got a proposed plan, it's not exact, but.
No, we need to have it legally verified,
Yeah.
sized, dimensions, everything done by a licensed
And
state
then that
surveyor.
gets,
But
that
if I
gets
got that
filed.
far before.
Because what'll happen is after that's done, the board will vote on it,
Yeah.
then the board signs that plan and it has to be recorded in the registry of deeds.
But all the pieces, we can't approve something that they may not even, you know, the soil might not even
Right.
support a leach field. So the net residential density might not work. So you've got to get all those pieces lined up.
Right. Is it
before.
possible to have like a preliminary
Yes.
vote before I spend $4,000 on a survey? If 4 of you are gonna object to it, why would I wanna throw that money away?
Well, yeah, and I said I would do that. I'm not gonna do a formal vote on it
Right.
because
No.
there's nothing binding.
Unofficial.
But I will let you have, you know, we can either give you a nod one way or the other, whether or not, if all of the pieces are correct and in
Okay.
place, whether or not the board would vote on it. But you have to understand that there are lots of pieces, and one of those pieces that comes not, you know, that doesn't fit will
Right.
change our vote.
Exactly.
Okay.
Sure.
So I don't want you to go away and say, okay, planning board behind me with this one. That's not how that vote
No,
works,
I see.
okay?
Okay. So I get my work cut out for me then.
Yep.
One step at a time, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
So I'll give you a quick poll. Greg?
I'd be in favor.
Mike, Kevin?
I'd be in favor.
Mark?
In favor.
Favor.
Yeah, so you've got the board,
Great.
as long as everything is in place.
Right,
Sure.
exactly.
Excellent. Well, I'll reach out to the subdivision, and I'll go to Dawn Dyer, and maybe she can give me guiding along. And
Yep.
I'll reach back out to
Yeah,
the planning board.
Dawn's done legal opinions before on land development, so I'm sure she's very astute.
Okay.
And if not, I'm sure she can do the research in our ordinances, and then she can help you with whatever covenants or bylaws may exist. So just make sure that you're in the legit.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
What's this thing gonna cost him, roughly? Do you have any idea?
I don't have any idea.
Okay.
I mean, because he's gonna have to get test pits and
Yeah,
all
so
that
it's,
stuff, yeah.
Right,
5,000.
7,000?
6,000, yeah,
Six-
6,000.
Probably 6 to 10.
I think $6,000 to $10,000 by the time you get everything in place.
How much? 6 to 10?
Yeah,
That's just the ballpark. I mean,
Yeah, that-
we're not
Right,
business
yeah,
estimating
right,
for you.
exactly.
The surveys now are probably 3,000 at
yeah,
least.
you got a test pit, and you gotta get, you know.
Soil test, all that.
Applications,
That go in
legal
there, the
fees.
application,
and
legal fees, it's gonna add up pretty quickly.
Yeah, I see.
And you're not gonna get an answer right until the end. You're gonna spend all this,
to get to the end.
Right.
and you may get a no. So,
Yeah.
It's a gamble, yeah.
Right.
It could be, but
yeah,
at least I get a preliminary, decision from you guys at this point to go forward somewhat, but I've got to reach out to the subdivision people first.
I would do that first,
And
because
see
then
if
you'll
it's
know.
majority, and if it's just one objection, then it wouldn't be feasible for me.
Well, it may not be one objection, may not be hurt you, but if the majority of them are
Majority
against it.
fall.
Majority, then you're in trouble.
Yeah, or I could get other neighbors that would be interested also, would I want to get involved in that? Other people that want to subdivide their lots, or? Getting too complicated.
Now you open up a big
Yeah,
can.
that's,
Yeah,
It's not, yeah.
you will exceed net density, I'd be
Yeah.
fairly confident if you
I
started
see.
doing that.
Okay, well, we'll be all aware of it. All right, I appreciate you listening to me tonight, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Appreciate you guys.
All right. Next is under new business, not on your agenda. I think if you had a chance to see Sandy's memo, which really kind of, wow, not only did you see it, you've already printed it out. Sandy did a great job capturing everything. And our notes are pretty much the same. I just do want to go through it because some of it does require our action. And now I didn't even bring my piece of paper that I did this on.
Greg's got
Oh,
one.
no, do you need mine?
No, it was the other, I did the other thing, you know, Mike,
I'll sell it to you.
I formatted it with bullets and all that stuff. Anyway, so now I have to go from memory. The first thing is on our application submission. One of the things that I wanted to make easier for all of us was to get packages, or get our applications in a timely manner. Not have to kind of juggle them around and figure which goes where, and not have to change our schedules to go get those packages if it didn't adversely impact, anybody else, so make it easier for us if it doesn't impact anybody else. And I talked with Alex and talked with Sandy, and so the first item is that packages, new applications are due the day of the planning board. Actually, it's 1500 on the day of our planning board for the next meeting. That's no change. That's the way it always has been. On the following Tuesday or Wednesday, Sandy will have already checked them in, looked through them. She's going to put them in a box, in a bag, a briefcase, whatever necessary to fit them, the trunk, and she is going to mail them out to us. So by that Friday, given the post office, we will have that package in our possession. Jim will then be working on the memo for that, and he will get that memo, a full memo that we're used to, and he will be getting that to us at least 1 week prior to our meeting on all of those new applicants. So that way, a week prior to the meeting, we'll have all of the documentation for that, new projects, all the documentation for that, Jim's memo. We'll have time to review it all and be good to go. Does that sound okay with everybody?
Yeah.
Yes.
I like that.
Okay. Second one, and this requires a change. Second is on reoccurring projects. The slippery slope as a board that we kind of fall into, and I've kind of suggested this slippery slope a number of times, is when we're reviewing a project, we're in the middle of that project, there's a couple of things that are outstanding, which we would like to take into the next month's meeting, but the deadline has already passed. So when the applicant is here, they're automatically 2 months down the road, the way our process runs. So in talking with Jim and Sandy and Alex, I would propose that we extend that 1 week for continuing projects. So a continuing project would be any changes or additional information for that continuing project would have to come in 1 week after our planning board meeting. Then Jim is going to review all that, but he's not going to give us the full memo that we're used to. Okay? He is just going to give us bullet changes that
Relevant to the areas in the ordinance that they revised or updated.
right, and that's going to come via email. There are a hard copy. The first copies are going to come by mail,
Right.
so we'll have a hard copy to work with. The updates to that is going to come by email, and again 1 week prior to.
Yeah, so when the project comes in initially, you'll get, to your point, you'll get the original memo. When the project comes back again, or any reoccurring pieces of a project that are tabled or still in the process, those you'll just get the bullet items for the things that changed
Right, and
via email.
via email. And the same process will be for sketch plans. If the sketch plan comes in, we're going to extend that from that 1 week part, because there really is nothing that really gets done
Right.
as far as review sketch plan.
Exactly. Yeah.
If there's anything major,
Right.
Jim can kind of give us a bullet format again, and that bullet format.
The only thing I got to think about afterwards, Bob, is when we get close to a final on a project, I assume I'll have to go back to kind of the long format, just to give you guys to read through and everything.
Yes.
But that can also be delivered via email.
Yes, yeah, because it'll pretty much fall in line with everything we've already
Exactly.
discussed.
Exactly.
And we would get that, a week before the meeting?
A week prior to
Yeah,
the
a
meeting.
week prior to the meeting is what we've discussed.
Yeah, because it's been difficult sometimes when applicants come in to our
Oh, yeah.
meeting and hand us stuff. and
Yep.
Yeah.
Gotta
Well,
combine it with what
that's
we've already
not
received.
supposed to happen.
Right.
You know, you know, it's one thing if it's like a period or some little tweak, but sometimes, you know, they all try to keep pushing the envelope a little bit more, and a little bit more.
Right.
They don't see the significance.
Yeah,
They
we
don't
are,
realize
yeah,
that
really.
you have had any opportunity to look at it at all.
Right. Does that sound okay with everybody?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Kevin, you still there?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so for this one, we need for this one, then I'm gonna make a motion that the due filing date with the town is 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 1 week following a regular monthly scheduled planning board meeting for the following month's meeting. Did that make sense?
That's for returning
For returning
It's
projects.
only
it's
return-
returning,
free
not-
applications.
Not new
Or free
stuff.
applications, right,
I'll second that.
okay? Is everybody okay with that change?
Yes.
Because that is a change to our rules, so. Okay, so any other discussion, all those in favor? Kevin?
Mr.
I'm sorry,
He said aye.
I know that Wayne, I think, had a question.
Oh.
Sorry, Wayne.
Did you want us to meet certain criteria also for getting you our information?
Yeah, if you could,
You
yes,
follow the
Wayne.
same suit as me.
Yeah, just follow it right along with Jim and the planning memo.
Okay,
Basically,
All right.
you and I, because since we're reviewers, we would fall under the same category as far as time.
okay. Very good, thank you.
Okay. The other thing that we used to do on the planning board a while ago, well, years ago, was the code enforcement would give us an update on what's coming down the road, so that we would know, not in detail, but but the subdivisions being planned here, major, minor, and so that is gonna get put back in. And Alex is gonna kind of just give us, a 5 minute, 2 minute, whatever it takes, or maybe a no minute if nothing's being planned. And my goal there was so that we would know kind of a month in advance, so, we would kind of be in the loop as to what's coming down the road, so that, projects don't start showing up in our mailbox that we have no idea.
Right, because the due
what they're
deadline, we would know that afternoon what could potentially be coming in. We don't have to necessarily accept it, it may be incomplete, but at least we give you a heads up that we received an application for
Right.
something. And the other piece of that was, Alex would give you an update on those that you have approved that
Right.
could be in construction or what's going on with them.
Yeah, just so we know what happens, so once we approve a subdivision, unless we drive by, we never know what's going on. And a lot of them go out years, and then all of a sudden start. So I think it's important for us as a planning board to know where the development is going on and in what area. And I think that, the last thing is just, that I talked about was just the advertisements, and Sandy's gonna work on that, with the legal side.
I emailed Phil, but I have not heard back.
Yeah.
Yeah, you won't right away.
That's, it's just like, it takes us a long time to convince, anyone that we don't make these decisions based upon, whether or not we like a project or not. The same thing that people are confused as to public hearings and public meetings. And it's not that I do not want the public to have a chance to participate, it's just that sometimes it's just not appropriate. If the project is way in the beginning, to hear the same thing, week, month after month on the same project, just doesn't make any sense, to move it forward. So Sandy's gonna work on, a little better presentation into the papers as to what we have to put in the papers and how we can distinguish between those two things.
So we're gonna limit more of the public input other than public hearings. Like we often
Well, I
get
think
people
what's
that
gonna happen
meet
is
because
we
wanna
have the requirement for
talk.
public hearings.
Yeah.
That's a very precise notification process. The question would be, all our meetings are public meetings, but it's ultimately up to you as a board individually for each applicant to determine whether you want to take public comment.
Right.
So rather than kind of putting it in there that everybody has a public comment, we're gonna put the power back to you as to when it's appropriate for public comment.
So we would make the decision on the spot at the meeting.
Right. The legal side, it was explained to me, the rules on the legal side are, is we do not have to take comment with the exception of the public, time the public hearing.
Right.
Everything other time, that it's not appropriate. We almost always accept, we almost always do that, and I think it's a good, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I think the rules, I think we should make sure that the rules state we don't have to do that, as appropriate, and then when we take them, we're
Yeah,
taking them because we want to
I
take them.
think Mary in the past has told us it's not required,
Right.
but I think they've always advocated that.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
do
and,
that.
and I don't think any of us
done
wanna
it.
turn
No.
the public comment off, and that's not the goal.
But to your point, it can get replicated
Right.
over and over and over again.
Right.
Or people say the same complaint over and over again, and you just gotta shut it down.
Yeah, if a project is
The
going,
chairs are.
3 months, 4 months, we don't need to have people coming in and telling us the same problems
Yeah.
over and over and over again. That just eats up our time. Okay, so that was the sum. I think I covered everything. You cover everything that Sandy had in there?
I think this is the one you did,
Jim's suggestion, and which was a good one, is when Mike finally gets onto the board, we'll maybe spend 15 or 20 minutes going through our bylaws once again, just to make sure everybody's
Yep.
kind of up to speed
Yeah.
on what those things say.
And those are your bylaws, so Sandy will put those in a packet in the future.
We all have them.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Yeah.
yep.
But just to remember, those can be amended any time, so anything that we change as far as dates or anything like that, it might be in those bylaws. I haven't even looked at it yet, I just got it this afternoon, but those can be updated anytime, anything you want to add, or it's your rules. It doesn't go through any other board, it's just specific to your use. But
Okay,
just
and-
guides us.
Then the last thing I have is the August meeting. My goal is not to inconvenience anybody, so, if this doesn't work, just please,
Oh, it's fine.
please
I think
say
everybody
so.
was fine.
Everybody was fine?
Yeah.
Okay.
The only one I couldn't do the week of the 10th one.
Okay, perfect. So I think it's the 4th.
Third.
Third, excuse me,
Third.
third. So I move that we move the August planning board meeting to August 3rd, 2022.
Second.
Everybody okay with that?
Yep.
Kevin, you all right with that?
Good thing.
Clear.
Okay.
Now, the only thing that is going to scrunch us a little bit, Wayne, on our reviews if anything comes in.
Yes.
So,
Right.
Nothing has come in, gentlemen.
Yeah, I don't,
but it wouldn't come until July. But I don't think long-term, we haven't really seen anything, I don't think long-term, but it doesn't mean that something small couldn't come back. I mean, I think you've got Port Harbor.
Right.
And then you've got the settlers, the one that Rob was here for tonight.
yeah, and I think that we have a waiver outstanding on that, and we have the DEP.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's probably gonna take some time, and I don't know where we have no idea where we'll be with that other one on the Cape.
what is the one on it? Oh,
Violation?
the violations. I don't think we'll ever see it.
I hope you don't.
Yeah. Everybody know what we're talking about? The violation?
The stone wall building.
Yeah, the Stonewall building and the modification of the waterfront.
Yep.
I guess I don't know much about that.
There was a lot of development that was done to two properties, adjacent properties out on the Cape, to the waterfront. They cleared a lot of land, they put in riprap, they built a beach. So all of it is in violation. So the violations all went to the zoning board of appeals. The zoning board of appeals upheld the violations. They're now going to remediation, and that's ongoing. So Jim and I were talking about it. If it comes to the planning board, I'm not sure how we would ever
Well, we'd
review
have
it.
some guidance, we'd have guidance,
Yeah.
we'd have to have legal guidance on this,
Because-
and I'm sure we will.
Yeah,
Um,
but, yes,
Just to clarify, the zoning board of appeals only heard one of all of those
yes.
violations,
Right.
and they decided they were gonna go to mediation.
Yeah. So I don't think it will.
So they haven't all been upheld yet.
So,
Yeah, but they upheld one
That's the way
side.
it was going.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, so it's gonna be a ways out, I think.
All right. What else we got? Jim, anything?
I don't think there's anything else. Sandy, you aware of anything else?
Not a thing, nothing came in today.
Okay.
Move to adjourn?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Done. Thanks,
Wait.
guys.
Good night.
Good night.